You know it, right? Sitting calmly in a coffee house, drinking coffee, and suddenly you see that person. And you think, God, I want to talk to that person. But getting up and going up to them and talking to them is not an option these days. It's not how it's done. So there is only a hope. God, I wish there are signs that could tell me whether that person likes me as well. So I know that if I convince myself and go up to them, they will like me. There is like chance that they will like me more. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are these signs, and before you go up to that person and hesitantly start a conversation, you can perfectly observe that person and increase your chances that the person who you come up to will like you or not. There is a traditional warning before I start talking about body language and observing body language, stuff like that. When you are looking at people and you are trying to get something out of their behavior, you must be very honest and very aware when you are observing, because they may like you and they may project it via their body language, but they also may dislike you, and that projects into body language as well. So you may be interpreting something, but you may misinterpret that because you are anticipating that they will love you. But that's not the case. They may dislike you, they may doesn't care about you. So when you are reading body language, well, do it with a caution and know that you may make a mistake. They may have a bad day. Be careful when observing body language. Train it, practice it. It will increase your social skill. It will increase the communicational skills that you have, but be cautious with that. There are core signs, the important one that are incredibly important when you are observing body language. Then I will mention some of the micro signs that are interesting to know about, and they may help you to decide whether it's on a spectrum that they like you or they dislike you. And then I will mention a couple of old books tricks that are also interesting to know, and honestly I haven't used them much in my observing life, but they are interesting to know about. So let's start with the tip number 1: prolonged eye contact and potential slight smile. When you have luck that the person that you like and you want to talk to is being introduced to you, and you notice that they are looking into your eyes a little bit longer than the convention says, there are no exact numbers. You gotta get that from the context of the situation and the feeling. When you feel that someone is looking at you for a little bit longer than they should or they have to, it means that it's the prolonged eye contact. It's about feeling a lot, actually. It's not that good, but unfortunately this is how it is. There is a very basic theory behind that. When you like something, and it doesn't matter what is that, whether it's a building, whether it's a puppy, whether it's a painting or a book or whatever you can like, a car, you tend to like it, you tend to look at it a lot. So when you like a car, you look at it a little bit more than to a car that you don't like. And this is the same with the people. When you like some person, you tend to look at that person a bit more than you are looking at any other person or potentially a person you don't like. You simply look at them because you like them. This is very simple theory, but it applies to this sphere enormously. So, when you are talking to that person, so when you are in a crowd, for example, and you occasionally get eye contact with the other person and you prolongedly look at each other, it means that you most likely like each other. Well, it's up to you to decode that behavior. And when you are having that prolonged eye contact, the person slightly smiles. It's something like this. Not like that actually, but it's a little bit exaggerated, but something like. It's a very slight movement, but you see that relaxed and happy face when they are looking at you, and that is a positive sign. And when someone does that, you are pretty safe to go up to them and talk to them. You just need to pick up your guts, and you just need to get the courage and come up to them. It's not easy, I know that. Second point, repetitive eye contact. When you are in a crowd or in a class, in an office, in a place where you spend more time and you are about to do some work, for example, it's nice in school when you have to sit there for the whole class, and suddenly you notice that some person is looking at you more often. So they are just looking at you more often. The same theory as in the first point is applied over here. So you decode what does it mean. And when you finally meet eye contact, like when you establish eye contact, and it's not the case where you potentially hold it for a longer time. When you look at them and they notice they are looking at you, they look away with a smile, and most likely they will look a little bit down. They will look downward. That is a sign that like they are a little bit nervous that you are looking at them, and when they look away with a smile, that part with a smile is important, because when they look away without a smile, well, it means nothing basically. But when they suddenly notice they are looking at them and they look away with a smile, well, that's a good sign. So think about that. So consider that one as well. Fourth point, they are manipulating the space all over around you so they can see you. They can be maybe physically closer to you than they are at any other people. So when they are getting a position in a group, they will manipulate that position so they have a clear, direct path so they can see you, for example. This is also important to notice, but you have to have like relatively high level of awareness and being aware of the other person. But if you like them as well, well, that won't be a problem, because you will be manipulating that as well, and clearly there will always a visual channel that you can establish. There is a commercial break. I have made a course called How to Start a Conversation, which basically is about starting a conversation. So if you are struggling with that, if you need a little push to do better, if you need some like a step-by-step guideline how to open a conversation, because you maybe are an introvert, you maybe are social a little bit awkward, don't worry about that. I am too as well. But if you want to work on that, if you want to get better, well, there is a great opportunity for you. This is a picture that I have made for that course. And if you are interested in that, there is a link down below in the description. The course teaches how to work with the communication mentally, how to get ready for that, how to start a conversation, how to come up to a person, what to do with hands when you don't know that, how to come up with the good questions and what to talk about, how to observe their body language so you know whether the person standing in front of you is interested in whatever you are talking about. Well, if it is something that you might be interested in, check out the course down in the description. I'll be very happy seeing you in there. We are getting to a section where those micro signs, micro fancy signs are. The fifth point overall, the first one in this section, is mirroring. Mirroring is something that's very powerful, and it not only is happening when you are in a close interaction with the person. When you like somebody, you tend to mirror them even though you are very far away from each other. So you are standing on the other side of the room maybe, and you still see that person, and when you notice that, for example, when you drink, they drink as well. When you get up, they have a tendency to get up as well. You, I don't know, scratch the head and they do that the same. These signs are really valuable and effective, but it's a little bit more difficult to get these signs. I'd love to say that it's easy to notice them, but actually I'd say it's a rare sign, and if you get that, you're good, but don't rely on this one in the first place. Learn those and try to observe those core signs that I mentioned in the first section, because they are easy to observe and they are, well, reliable as well. But these ones are a little bit more difficult to observe, but still good. And another one, the sixth point, is they are playing with the hair. It's very well known sign, but a little bit ambiguous, but a little bit ambiguous. And well, you need to get a context and a cluster so you can interpret this one right. So when you are, for example, like having a good time and all the core signs and some of the core signs are in that interaction. So you are looking at each other, you are smiling, you are looking at each other repetitively. And when you are looking at each other at some point of the time and they are playing with their hair, well, that's a separate sign and a positive sign. So when you see that, it's a good. But when you are observing just someone randomly and they are playing with their hair, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are attracted to somebody in there and they're trying to seduce somebody or to lure somebody. Well, they're just playing with the hair. They may be nervous or whatever. Some old things, some old book tricks, which I'd be sometimes skeptical to, but they are interesting to know about. So, for example, point number 7 is that when you're talking to somebody and they are exposing you this part of the wrists, well, these are vulnerable part of the wrist, and when you show it to somebody, you are somehow trying to show them that you are not threatened by them, that you feel nice around them, and that's just this theory. But I'd be a little bit skeptical by that. So, I mean, you can try to observe that. I haven't get that, like never, but it could be interesting. Like when someone is, so when you are like having a great time, or the clusters are telling that the person might be interested in conversation with you, and you notice somehow, I don't know how, that they tend to show you these parts of forearms. Well, consider it a positive sign and let me know that you have noticed that, because I literally don't know how someone could be showing this to you. I'm standing like this and showing you my forearms open. Important to say. Point number 8 from old books is that when women are playing with the phallic shape things, they are luring men to start a conversation, which is a sexual communication conversation. It may be when you are in an advanced stage of a relationship or in a hardcore seduction, but not sure about like when you don't know each other well, that somebody would be playing with a phallic shaped object, like a cigarette, for example. But interesting to know as well. And it is supposed to work because it reminds men of, well, who knows what. So this is just that. And last point, number 9, is that when you are again meeting the core things, like looking at each other a lot, maybe having your body directed to the person that you like and they have it directed to you, and you are having a good time looking at each other a lot, when women are pouting their lips, like showing that like they wanna kiss. Again, I have never noticed that in a real life. Only when you are making fun of seducing someone. Well, you are doing these things. Yeah, but I've never noticed that in a natural setting, in a non-scripted part of meeting each other and deciding whether you two could be alright. And the same thing is licking the lips. I don't know what they mean in that book, but they say that when you see a woman who is looking at you and licking their lips, that they are attracted to you. Well, you do the math, if it's right, if it's truth. Well, I'm at the end of the video, but there is a 10th thing that I wanted to mention, and it's not gonna like you probably. It's a piece of wisdom. If you see somebody you like and you are not sure whether to go up to them, to talk to them, and you're trying to observe their body language to decide whether it's a good thing to go up to them, well, fuck body language. It's me saying that, who loves body language to death. Well, fuck it and go up to them, even if the body language is saying that you should not go up to them. Well, you may have misread them, you may have misunderstood what misinterpret, misunderstand what they meant by their body language. They may have a bad day. They may, I don't know, they just have a bad day. So go up to them, start talking to them, even though you don't trust yourself. Just come up to them and say, hi, how are you? And, you know, you may find out that they actually are very open to a conversation with you. They just had a, I don't know, bad thought at that very moment when you have looked at them. So you will regret not coming up to them, but you won't regret being shut down. Well, it may hurt for a while, but you get a confidence, you get experience, you get a good story at least. You be able to show off when you are with friends that you come to that girl, because not many people are doing it these days. So just go for that and fuck body language. Body language will help you definitely, but it takes time. It's not that easy, and just live your life and do it, man. That's it from me. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. I'll be very happy hearing from you, and that's it from me. And meanwhile, before next video is coming up, you can check out this great video that I worked hard to get out, probably, whatever. See you next time, guys. Bye.